This is the Eye of Terror. It is a permanent 20,000 light-year wide tear in the very fabric of reality. On the other side of this anomaly lies a dimension of raw, hostile energy where the laws of physics do not apply, and infinite numbers of hostile entities wait to cross over into our galaxy. Navigating through this warp storm is virtually impossible. The violent energy destroys almost anything that tries to pass through it. But there is a single, narrow anomaly in the turbulence, one stable exit route out of the eye, known as the Cadian Gate. And sitting right at the mouth of this choke point is a single world, Cadia. It acts as a physical plug in the bottleneck, watching the only reliable path between real space and the nightmare dimension next door. Because every hostile force that wants to launch a major invasion from the eye must physically pass through this corridor. If Cadia falls, the bottleneck opens completely, allowing a relentless tide of invaders to pour into the rest of the human Imperium. To survive in this position, the people of Cadia engineered an absolute, brutally pragmatic culture. This chart shows the planet's birth rate plotted against its military conscription rate. The lines match perfectly. Every single child born on Cadia is destined for the military. Childhood here revolves entirely around warfare. By the age of 5, kids learn to reassemble a lasgun. By 6, they are trained marksmen. Tactical doctrine and weapon maintenance are mastered before a child even learns basic reading and writing. Living this close to a highly radioactive warp rift also has physical side effects. 10,000 years of exposure has caused a specific mutation across the population. Cadians are universally recognized by their striking purple irises. But aside from their eye color, they are entirely baseline humans. They aren't biologically augmented super soldiers. They are ordinary people who rely on intense regimentation, lifelong training, and iron discipline to hold the line against supernatural horrors. The absolute peak of this military doctrine is found in a tier of special forces known as the Kasrkin. These units recruit exclusively from hardened veterans, soldiers who have already survived deployments in the standard Cadian Shock Troop regiments. The Imperium equips the Kasrkin with highly advanced war gear. They wear thick, interlocking carapace armor that absorbs heavy impacts, and they carry hot-shot lasguns. These rifles use high-yield backpack generators to punch through thick armor that standard-issue weapons would barely scorch. Their true advantage is their operational mindset. Kasrkin are trained to maintain perfect, emotionless firing lines. They lay down overlapping fields of fire and hold their ground, refusing to break formation even when taking heavy casualties. This discipline allows a squad of ordinary humans to systematically dismantle enemy targets that dwarf them in size, including towering, biologically augmented traitor space marines who rely on terror tactics to scatter conventional troops. The Kasrkin prove Cadia's core philosophy. Raw, chaotic power can be defeated by strict human order, regimentation, and superior training. That philosophy faced its ultimate trial during an event known as the 13th Black Crusade. Abaddon the Despoiler launched the largest armada seen in 10 millennia, pouring out of the Eye of Terror to break the Cadian Gate. The invasion began with a catastrophic internal betrayal. Embedded traitor regiments revealed themselves at the High Command Center and assassinated the planetary governor and the senior military leadership in a single devastating strike. Rather than collapsing in panic, the Cadian military structure simply adapted. Junior officers took charge, sergeants stepped up, and grunts locked shields, refusing to yield an inch of ground. What followed was a brutal war of attrition. Billions of mortal humans engaged a relentless tide of demonic entities and traitor forces. The fighting spread across thousands of heavily fortified Cadian cities, turning every street and block into a meat grinder. Despite losing their apex leadership in the opening hours and facing massive, sanity-devouring armies, the Cadians held the line. Their deeply ingrained societal discipline kept the entire geographic choke point intact. The invasion ground to a halt. Abaddon the Despoiler realized that despite his overwhelming supernatural advantages, his forces could not break the Cadian infantry in a conventional ground war. so he pivoted to a spiteful, desperate tactic. He took an ancient weapon known as a Blackstone fortress and dropped it out of orbit, hurtling it directly into the planet's surface. The kinetic impact was catastrophic. The artificial meteor shattered the tectonic plates, instantly boiled the oceans, and caused localized gravity across the world to fail. The greatest champion of chaos had to physically destroy the planet itself, simply because he could not defeat the human soldiers standing on it. The ground split open, swallowing entire cities into magma, while the skies turned to fire and ash. Cadia was literally tearing itself apart. Even as the crust collapsed beneath their boots, the surviving soldiers didn't run. They locked their footing on fractured floating rocks, raised their rifles, and continued firing up into the falling debris. With the Cadian Gate destroyed, the Eye of Terror was free to expand without limit. It rapidly swelled outward, tearing the galaxy in half and plunging thousands of worlds into darkness. But in the Imperial Guard, they still say the planet broke before the Guard did. The physical world of Cadia is gone, but the surviving fleet-based regiments still fight, maintaining the exact same discipline. They proved that even in a universe of supernatural horrors, the human spirit remains an unbreakable weapon.